And it takes women 20 minutes to become fully aroused. The average amount of time for intercourse, you guys, is a minute and a half.
Wait, is that real?
It's real.
Is that real?
90
seconds.
90 seconds.
I can sprint for 90 seconds.
I know.
I can't sprint for 20 minutes.
Pee-pee.
Oh.
Pee-pee.
Don't mock me.
We're not mocking you, Ben. We're just talking about you.
How are your coffees this morning?
Very
Explain.
delicious.
Do they taste great?
Yes.
Wonderful.
It's honestly bad because then I'm almost done with this thing and I
Oh yeah. Well,
Started.
did you see mine?
We'll get up to your apartment and yours is gone and I've had 2 sips and one of which was yours.
Yep.
Like you sip mine because you're like, I want to see if yours is better than mine. You sip it and you go, a little bit better than mine. I'm like, what? It's like the same
thing.
She's like, it's a little better. I'm like, what the? Don't take a big sip.
I can't be the only one who drinks their iced coffee in 10 seconds. Like hot coffee, I can drink it slow, but when it's iced coffee, 10 seconds later, it's also because the ice is in there. You take 3 good gulps and it's gone.
No, not 3 good gulps.
Yeah.
I have more than 3 good gulps taken on here. I've taken
Well,
7 and I'm quarter of the way there.
I don't know what's up, but you guys, happy Thursday. Thanks for joining Straight Candid Podcast.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
Silly little goofers.
Right off the bat, I'm going to quick share a Apple Podcast review because just so you guys know, it does help us a lot. So if you haven't yet, please go to your Apple Podcast app and leave us a little review.
Rate us if you can.
Yeah.
And don't say we have receding hairlines. That's not very nice.
Did
I
someone
saw one
say
of
that?
those. No, I was thinking of the guy that said like, not funny. And that one with the receding hairline is like pretty cute. And we're both like, what?
Which one of us?
Which one? But I did see a really mean one and I don't remember what it said. I'll have to go find it. But
Oh
it
my
was, I
gosh.
kind of laughed at it, honestly.
Honestly, we can't give them any clout. So
No.
nope, didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Fun fact though, speaking of like the mean people, I did find the Fry Guy dude on Instagram. A listener sent me a screenshot and goes, "Is this the dude?" And he didn't even change his last name really. It was like the same. I sent it to you guys, I think.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
he did have an
And-
overlapping last name.
And you were like, I can't tell if he's 12 years old or like
50.
72.
I can't tell who he is in the photo. So
Yeah.
it's like he's either an adult or he's a child.
And his bio was like young hoes who
Wait.
it was like young who hoes end up with ugly men.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, what the
Very
fuck?
odd behavior.
So weird. Anyways, speaking of Apple Podcast review, good reviews, 5 stars.
Positive reviews.
We have Lily B01 who wrote in and said, "This is the best podcast ever. I saw these girls on TikTok and I knew I would love it. I decided that on my 4.5-hour car ride that instead of music, I would start this podcast. I've been listening to it every time I drive anywhere for the past month. It is the best podcast I've ever heard. I used to listen to Call Her Daddy all the time, but the second I started Straight Candid, I knew this would be different. I have learned so much more and they are more realistic and think about people's feelings. I love everything about this podcast and I can't wait for every Thursday."
Oh,
I was like, that's
wow,
cute.
That was really nice.
One more, the goofiest part of my day,
Aw.
Sophia Dennison. Soph and Syd are literally the funnest people ever. I feel like you all both have my sense of humor and crack up in public when I'm on my way on my HGW daily listening to the podcast. The first episode actually had me crying. Love you all. I love this podcast.
Oh, that was so nice.
The first episode was really fun.
The first episode was really good. I'm like, are we doing this shit right? Because I don't know.
I think that's episode 82.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. I was thinking of our actual first episode.
Oh.
I was like, I mean, it was funny, but like we were
No.
little. Like
Oh my gosh.
we were very little and different.
When I listened back to that or when
I don't
saw
want to listen to. I've been avoiding it because I
I-
can't. I don't want to.
Do we delete the first like
No.
50 episodes?
No.
So no one can ever
Just don't judge us for those.
Yeah.
I was at a wedding like 2 days ago and the sister of the not the bride, the sister of the groom, right? That's how you say it. Was like, I have to come up to you and tell you I listened to your podcast. And I was like,
Oh,
no way. And
cute.
she's like, I love it. She goes, I started one time on a road trip and I've never stopped. You and Soph are like amazing. And she's like, I might not be your demographic. I'm like, yes, you are.
Everyone's our demographic.
She's like, she's 30 going on 15. She looks like a freaking hot mom. Like literally her arms, I just have to say this and she'll hear this. She'll laugh. I asked her, I'm like, do you do Ironman? She's like, no. I've only done a few half. And I'm like, a half Ironman is not casual. She's ripped. She was so cool and so nice, but her arms were like, I'm no joke, probably 6 times the size of my arm. I'm not kidding.
You should get her on your Tough Mudder team next
Oh,
year.
I know. I'm like, you're hiking me over the half pipe
single?
wall. No, she's not. Dang it. She's married. I know. And her husband was just as athletic. I was like, God damn it.
Oh man. Okay, let's get right into
Anyway.
it. I'm gonna share my straight kind of moment
Okay,
quickly,
you go ahead.
and then we'll jump into your straight kind of moment and all the stuff and what we have coming this episode. So, straight kind of moments, if you don't know what they are, they're just moments that make us more humble and human.
Yep.
And something that this one is honestly a great definition of a straight canon moment.
Wait,
because
really?
this is something that people would just probably never tell anyone because it was just kind of embarrassing.
Wait, is this the thing that you
Yeah.
wanted to tell me the other day? And I tried so hard to freaking pull it out of you. I'm like, tell me it.
I was like, I gotta share it on the podcast.
Okay.
Okay, so some things have been happening with Straight Candid. Like we're getting a few more followers, like whatever. And I was like really pumped. I posted this like outfit I wore and tagged Princess Polly in it. About, I don't know, I would say like 2 hours later, I got an email from Princess Polly
Nervous.
talking about this really cool collab thing. And I was like, this is my dream. Like this is like, if I have to find an outfit to wear really quick, like I'll just quick go to Princess Polly and I order something. Cause they just have like,
they got good stuff.
yeah,
they do.
I do really like their style and their outfits. And I was so pumped. It was like, you get 10 items a month. You get like a discount code for followers, things like that. And I had to like fill out this thing and they wanted me to send a media kit. So one morning I spent like 2 hours making my own little media kit, like, your engagement rate, like all that weird influencer stuff that you never know goes on behind the scenes when you have any sort of sponsors or collabs or things like that. So I was like, I showed my boyfriend, like all my media kit. He's like, this is really good. I'm like, thanks. Like, I was so excited. I sent it back. I get an email like 2 minutes right after I sent it saying, awesome, that's all we need from you. We'll start immediately. I'm like, oh my God, this is
like, that was easy.
so
Sweet.
well. So well.
Oh no, I'm
And
having anxiety.
So this is about 5 hours into this whole process. And I'm like, still like pumped as fuck, like dancing around my living room. Pat's like, you good? I'm like, I'm just gonna get free clothes, baby. And then the next email they send me, we'll start immediately. All you have to do is fill out this last thing. And it's like, it'll be your PayPal, your bank account number, and I was like, red flag, red flag, red flag. And I go, Pat, is this a phishing email? And he reads it and he's like silent and he like brings his lips together, and he goes, babe, yeah, I don't think this is real. And I'm like,
oh no, Sophie.
I was like, I'm so sad.
Wait, sad.
But yeah, I was just really,
Can you tell me what the email was? Did you even read the email handle?
Yeah. So
was it like princesspolly@bananas.com or something random?
It looked so,
where it's like, you're like,
let
dude.
me show you. It was so good, y'all.
Oh no.
Okay, so not that.
Yeah,
obviously.
I was gonna say those are the orders. Go to your
It was at my Instagram. So my Instagram email, which is
maybe go to sent from one of them, and then because you responded to them, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I gotta
Sophie.
read it. All
sent.
sent.
There you go. Oh no.
I ended it with LOL. Nice try.
Can I click? Oh no. Oh. Let me click on the email.
Collaboration.
Oh no. media.princess.polly@gmail.com. There you have it, people.
There it is.
I had to take a fishing course at my work, actually, and I can spot them from a mile away.
I've taken so many fishing courses.
Oh my God, that
So we are just launching an influencer ambassador campaign. I really want to get you involved. You'll get free monthly packages, 10 items of your choice per month. But then he started to like mess up the words. And I realized I don't think like English was the first language. And then here was my cute media kit.
Oh, you did a really good job.
Thanks. You want to see my media kit?
Oh, you did a really cute media. Oh,
I was about to charge them money.
It's really cute. It's kind of like we need to redo our Straight Candid one. Actually, the side note. That's
so
just
then,
something that popped in my head.
Oh, I go. Thanks for the quick response. I do have a policy that I need to hop on a face-to-face video meeting before I sign with anyone. Can we set that up before we move forward? Because I was getting little red flags. And then
is a clean collaboration.
And then Princess Polly says, is a clean collaboration and we can get in touch only on email. And we make this happen because of scammers we have all over social media. We only roll on email.
Oh boy.
And then I didn't respond for 10 minutes and they go, we're not hearing from you. Are you still confused or not interested any longer?
Oh yeah, nice.
I go, LOL, nice try. Which part are you confused? And that's where it ended. Okay, moving on. But that's just my Straight Candid moment.
Dude, what the hell?
Oh, our guest is here.
Oh, she's arrived. Do you
Okay.
want to text her?
Ben,
really
do you
quick?
want to go like entertain our guest while we finish this
Okay.
intro?
Well, I'm so sorry that you got attacked via phishing.
That's
email.
okay. But
I'm sorry.
I wanna-
We'll get Princess Polly on board with us.
Yeah,
The real
maybe
Princess
one-
Polly,
maybe
not
one
at
day.
gmail.com.
Yeah, maybe
Oh.
one day. Tell me about you. How are you doing?
So I debated recording today because and you and Ben were the first people to know, but my grandma passed away recently, very, very recently. In fact, like within the last 24 hours. And I really debated on if I wanted to record or not. And I thought about it and I said, nothing else makes me feel more normal than doing this and being with my people. So to pull that away from myself, to almost give myself like a reason to go like hide in a hole again doesn't feel right. The other piece is we've never really talked about grief and loss on the podcast, and we will. We have a guest lined up that we want to have on, and we've talked to them many a time, but I'm going through it right now. And my grandma had written a contact info in her phone that I showed Soph right away.
I was
and
just
wanna
going to
show
have you share that because when I was texting you this morning, I was going to try to reference that, but I couldn't remember exactly what she said.
the wording, right?
Yeah.
So my grandma had in her contact information for me, it said, like a hurricane of fresh air full of candor and strength. And I'm like, oh my God, because candor, if you look up the definition, means candid. And she was literally the craziest, most intense personality person I've ever met in my whole life. She was badass, and she was a reserve police officer until she was 80. And she taught me how to be independent and taught me, there's a bunch of advice pieces we've had on here that I've said, like, don't let a man choose you. You choose who you want to be with and all the things. And I lost her too early. She had cancer, and she had a really severe form of it, and it came on really fast. But the best thing is I was so close with my grandma that I got to have so many years of her supporting me, and she supported the podcast. And
she really, really did support
she
the podcast.
loved it.
The
She
amount of
talked about it.
times that she kind of have snuck into the podcast
I
just from
know.
conversations. And we had such good straight cannon moments with her here where
Yep.
she would text you and being like, I'm going to look at my own vagina.
she's gotta find
and
her
that-
G-spot or
Gotta
whatever.
find
That's
her
what she said.
G-spot because she was looking at her own vagina anatomy. Like, what a character.
Oh
She
my
just had
God.
so much life. And obviously I don't have the right words. I can't relate
Yeah,
to you,
there's
but
not
just
really.
know that I'm here for you.
Thanks,
And
Nugget.
she's brought so much life to this podcast. So.
She has. I thank you. I appreciate you. And if you're going through it right now and you've got a family member that's sick, all I say is I didn't waste any time. I spent all the time I could with her. I told her everything I wanted to tell her. Last time I saw her, when I said my goodbyes, I told her I'm going to do all the things I said I was going to do. The podcast will get big. I will move in California or Arizona or wherever the heck it brings me. And I'm going to do it all with you in mind. And
With candor and strength.
with candor and strength. So just know if you're going through something, let yourself cry, let yourself feel, and don't hold back, because I don't know, in a weird way, I feel a little bit of relief today because she was not in a good place at all. And I don't need to I'll spare you all the minor details, but she's in a better place, safe and cared for and loved. And she knows I'm thinking about her and with her, and I wear her ring every single day. And she's in a better place right now, and I'm happy for that. So if you're feeling it right now, I appreciate you, and I know that you're loved and cared about, and feel all the things.
And no matter what you believe in, send your either prayers, your thoughts, your vibes,
anything
towards Syd and her family.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. So anyway, but it's a good day because we have a guest coming on that we really, really wanted to have on. Her name is Renee, and she is absolutely amazing. Do you want to give her kind of like a little background about her?
I think
and we'll let her do it too.
I was just gonna say, I think she's arrived, so let's just bring her right on.
I like it.
All right,
Renee.
Renee.
Here we go.
Pee pee poo poo. Pee pee poo poo. She'll fit right in.
I don't even know what that means.
I know you're like, what is that?
What does that mean?
I don't really even know either.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like a little, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm out of the loop with that stuff.
You're not woke.
I'm not woke. Sad.
Y'all, Renee walks in. She's like, okay, what did you say to us?
I said, I told my daughter, and I said, I said, I'm going to be doing this podcast, the Straight Candid podcast with these young 20-somethings. And I said, I'm going to be so uncool. And she said, try not to be woke, Mom. Just try to be yourself. Just try to, I mean, she's
Don't be
29.
woke.
She's 28. Wait, is she 28 or 29? She's,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Renee's here.
Renee.
She's in the house. We're so excited to have her. Renee, will you do us a favor and will you introduce yourself? Just like, not your elevator pitch, but like kind of your intro, what you'd say to somebody if they were like, who the heck are you?
Who the heck am I?
Yeah. Someone said that to you and got in your face, said, who the heck are you?
Who the heck am I? I'm Renee Segal. This is my elevator speech. I'll
You
start
can
with
give-
that.
you
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Okay. I own Evolve Therapy. It's an emotionally focused therapy clinic, which is the only kind of couples therapy that has any research behind it. And so I think we have 14 therapists that work there. They're amazing, talented therapists. And I've been a therapist. I was a yoga teacher. I was a fitness instructor. I was an accountant. I'm a mom, love travel, love working out, like HIIT classes. I bike. So
You should come to both of our HIIT
I
classes
know.
I know you
sometime.
guys do. Okay. Yeah, I'll come. I'll come.
All right.
We're
So
both teachers,
I mean, I have to move.
Yeah.
And when I was a young person and I wanted to be a therapist, I was in therapy and I said to my therapist, I want to be a therapist. And she said, you can't because you can't sit still. And I was like, whoa, can I swear?
Yeah, of course you can.
And I said, well, fuck you. I had a chair on wheels. I have a chair on wheels because it's like I
you
have
wheel
lots
around.
of fidgets in my office.
I'm the same. Yep.
Yeah,
I
because
would need a bouncy ball.
I know I need to move. It's really important.
If you need to stretch your legs during this podcast.
I'm going to move around.
You'll
yeah.
see me do this a lot. I
Yeah.
do like a lot of like hand things.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
I
I'm
can
like,
do
I
that.
need to like,
You'll
see me do
this.
She was doing that before you got here. She has a little like leg twitch thing going
Okay.
on.
Restless leg syndrome. It just,
Oh my God. That's a thing.
it is.
Is a thing.
It runs
Okay.
in the fam.
I'm excited to talk about relationships with you guys.
The reason we wanted to have you on is because we've been looking for someone to speak to relationships in a professional way.
Yes.
Right.
We
can
try.
only we try. We can only give as much advice as feels correct.
Yes.
But we're not an expert, right? We've
Right.
only lived through experience, but we want to normalize like all the things that happen in a relationship. Cheating, different types of love languages, working through different things, sex drive, couples therapy, all the things. And you're the expert for that. So
Right.
that's why you're here.
Right.
And that's why we wanted you to be here.
I love working with couples. It's my favorite thing.
Like,
How many couples do you see like in a day or in a week? I would say, is it the same couples you see reoccurringly? Like, how does that work?
yeah.
Yeah. Usually it takes me door to door. This sounds like a long time, but like if I had an affair, it usually takes me 18 months to 2 years to really repair the bonds. That doesn't mean that they're coming every single week, but they're coming at least initially every single week. And the couples that come every single week really move through things pretty quickly. So generally speaking, you're in therapy for a period of time and then you're done, and you know you're done because you feel really good. So there are people that I've seen longer, and I usually see about 6 a day.
Okay.
Do you see them as couples or do you see them separately as well?
I see them separately. So we do one individual session, and then I usually break them apart and do one individual session where I do the history and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Separate and see
Separate,
what do the
yeah.
stories usually line up, or are they a
They
little bit
do, but
wonky?
you know, it's really hard to ask a woman if she masturbates in front of her partner when she's faking orgasms. So it's kind of like, so sometimes you really do want to break them apart.
Can I ask something? Is it usual that women are faking orgasms even within like relationships that are
Marriages?
Yeah.
Yes.
In marriages?
In marriages.
Oh, that makes me so
I know.
sad.
So this is like what I want to say is women, stop faking orgasms. I feel like when I retire, I want to write a book about women faking orgasms. I think that it's just because they're trained to be pleasers. But a lot of times they'll say, oh, no, you can't tell him. Or men feel so bad that they don't know what's going on. So I could talk a lot about that, but I will.
We've chatted about this actually,
Yeah.
and we were like, okay, we're both in fake orgasm recovery. We're not going to do it anymore.
Yes.
We're in recovery mode.
Yes,
Yep, we're in
that's right.
recovery mode.
Never. I mean, because like it doesn't help anybody.
doesn't.
And I don't
Yeah.
have the energy to do that. I really don't. I'm focused on actually feeling the pleasure, not pretending to feel the pleasure.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Yes.
snaps.
And
Yeah.
you know what I did one time is I was in a relationship and I wanted to stop faking orgasms. So I just
Yeah.
pretended I switched birth controls and said it was harder for me to orgasm.
Good
and then
for
I
you.
started to like actually pretend like I wanted to orgasm.
You
and
guys,
then-
so
Yeah.
this is, without getting super feminist on you, it's about the patriarchy. And I think all of the images
Get
that we
super
see,
feminist.
yes, that all the images that we see on TV, like
Or Pornhub or something.
Pornhub, right. Orgasms, women standing up. Like, I mean, it's like, oh, and they're going to do it. And it takes women, check this out, 20 minutes to become fully aroused. 20 minutes. And it's like, no, now men can do it. Like,
They can orgasm in 30 seconds.
Right. And you know what? The average amount of time for intercourse,
So
you
annoying,
guys,
sorry.
is a minute and a half.
Oh, God.
It's teeny. Like, it's just like,
Wait, is that real?
it's real. It's real.
Is that real?
It's
90
real.
seconds.
90 seconds.
I can sprint for 90 seconds.
I know.
I can't sprint for 20 minutes.
I know, but you guys, it's good.
Okay.
I mean, the men are great because they're, I mean, biologically, it's like you got to, you want to do the job. And so women, it takes us longer. It takes us 20 minutes to become fully aroused.
So we're literally,
then
we're in an oven, not a microwave.
Yeah. Then you're pumped.
And then
Right.
you're in the correct situation to be
Right.
there. Okay,
Exactly.
interesting.
Okay.
We've talked about this with our OBGYN, Dr. Sarah.
Yeah.
And she's actually our OBGYN now. We literally
Okay,
go to
She
her
that's
house.
awesome.
literally gives us pap smears. She's been on the
Like,
podcast.
she's-
Oh,
a
that's
few
right.
times.
Is
Yeah.
this is what she's saying too?
Yeah.
Similar?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the exact same
Yeah.
thing. And
I'm
she's-
glad you guys are in recovery from fake.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We really, it's been a long
It's
journey.
been a journey.
It's
Yeah.
been a journey.
We just bring the toys most of the time. So
Yeah.
You have to be okay
Yep.
with them.
Okay.
I like that we started with a bang because
I know.
now y'all are looped in. Let's go.
Everybody's warmed up.
Okay.
Shoulders are loose.
So here's kind of
Yeah.
Renee lost her glasses.
we were laughing before this episode 'cause she was like, I don't usually wear glasses. And I was like, when we start to ask sex
good.
questions, you can take them off.
Yes.
And they're off.
Get more comfy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's kind of the plan, I guess. So I think Syd and I kind of want to make this a little bit of a therapy session for us.
Sure.
Sorry that our significant others don't get a say in
I
this.
know. I feel kind of
Sorry,
bad. I'm
bye.
gonna be like, he's bad at this and really bad at this and really bad at this, but he's not here.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
He
that's-
he doesn't have any chance to like reciprocate this.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we'll do that. And then we also have some listeners that wrote in questions for you
a
too.
ton of listener advice questions that people had written in about like actual situations that I think a lot of people can relate to that have been like, oh, I've been in that, or like, oh, I felt that before and I didn't know what to do, so I just left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's, I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like the instinct is to run away
Yeah.
for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
How do you know if this is a quick question before we jump into
Okay.
our situations? How do you know when you should leave versus when you should stay and work it out?
Okay, so a lot of my answers are going to be, it depends, and it depends on the person. And you guys, I'm happy to answer your relationship questions, but I don't know your histories and I
Yeah.
don't know a lot of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do the best I can.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you.
Absolutely.
I think when you want to leave, here's a little interesting tidbit. Men usually don't end marriages. Women do. 90% of marriages are ended by women. And if men do, there's usually another person in the wings. So that's fascinating.
Interesting.
Fascinating
That
fact.
I
Once men commit, it's very hard for men to end marriages. And we know what? In my practice, it's true too.
what the heck? I would have never guessed that. I'm not
Men
gonna lie.
need women.
I always thought it was
men
off.
need women.
Yeah.
Really, men need women.
For their ego.
There you go. Yeah, literally. No.
So to answer your question, how do you know if you should stay or you should go? That's a really complicated question. And usually I think that there's a feeling, and especially when you guys are in your 20s and
Yeah.
you're trying to figure yourself out, like, what is it that you're looking for?
Interesting. Okay, that's good to know.
Should I stay or
Should I go now? Wow. And you see also a side note, you see a couple like gay couples, I forget
Poly couple.
poly couples. That was the word I was
Yeah,
looking
it's
for.
not my expertise, poly couples. I have worked with some. Generally, what comes to therapy, at least that I see, it's an affair that's being painted as poly, but there's a lot of ethical poly out there. But what shows up in therapy sometimes is people pretending to be poly.
Can you explain what poly is really quick?
Interesting.
Yeah. So polyamory is where there's a lot of different kinds of polyamory. And like I said, I'm not the expert in it. So do you want me to explain it?
You
It's
can
like,
give a little like
yeah,
just a brief
so that like you're a
understanding.
couple and then you have on Thursday nights you go out with your girlfriend or on Thursday nights you go out with your boyfriend, or sometimes I had a couple that I worked with and they were a throuple. They called themselves a throuple where they were a primary and then they had another person.
I just
Ben's
can't.
laughing.
Yeah.
It's like I watched Shameless, and like
Yeah.
that was like a big thing. They were like, we're a throuple, and they go to therapy. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I follow throuples on TikTok. I know that's
Do
weird.
you?
Yeah, because it's so interesting to me because one came later and then I know someone that was in a throuple and I will tell you it did not work at
Well,
all.
yeah, we had someone on the podcast who was in a
that's right.
polyamorous marriage.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I thought it was so interesting that you said they paint themselves as polyamorous, but then it's really not.
But there's
complicated-
ethical poly, and you know what I'll just say this: if you want to have a third person in, your relationship needs to be strong. You need to have incredible communication. If your relationship is not going well, it's not the time to bring another person in.
That's a really good point.
Period.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like when people put a ring on it or have a kid, they're like, oh, you know,
It'll
it's like,
fix it.
It'll fix it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, actually, you need to work it out with your significant other before you do something extra.
For sure.
Extra something.
Extra something.
But anyway.
Time for therapy.
Time for Syd and Soph to go to therapy. We're in the
Yes.
waiting room. Close your eyes. We're in the waiting room right now.
Call us.
Smells of
Call us.
eucalyptus. I hear my name.
No,
my
wait,
God.
let her.
Oh, sorry.
Am I supposed to call you?
Yeah, if you could.
Syd and Soph, come on in.
that's
Hey,
us.
come
Oh,
on in, you guys. How are ya? How are ya?
Oh, I love your couch. This is so nice in here.
Thanks for
I know.
having
My
us.
God. Do you have a mint anywhere?
I do actually have mints. I do have I have wintergreen mints in my office.
Oh, you have
guys,
me.
those the little
Thank God.
Yeah, and everybody loves them.
The
Yep.
lifesavers?
They're lifesavers.
Oh.
People
Do
love them.
it. I pictured
And you know
that
what
in
else?
your office.
I also have chocolate.
What if I could draw your office out right now and I could just close my eyes and draw it out? Because I've got a vision.
Okay.
I'll do it after.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll do it
Okay.
after.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Go to therapy, Soph. I'll be here.
So I have been dating my significant other for, I would say, almost a year at this point. And the other day we did take our attachment style quiz.
Oh,
because I was-
awesome.
just because
I
I
want
was
to take it. I forgot.
just because I was curious
yeah.
to know about what his was. I had a feeling I was secure.
Awesome.
And-
You are secure with him.
I am secure with him. Yes.
Awesome.
But his was avoidant, and
Yeah.
I kind of thought about that. And I think a lot of guys are a little bit more avoidant. So I realized, like, I feel like I ask him a lot of questions. Like, I come home and I tell him about my day, tell him everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like I talk about myself a lot. And so then I'm like, okay, like, he doesn't come home and tell me about his day. So I have to actively ask him the questions, and he'll give me an answer. And doesn't elaborate, so then I ask him more questions because I want him to talk about himself because I think he's interesting and I want to learn about him and how his day went. So I guess that's like, as of now, like I feel like we are still very honeymoon phase. I'll be honest, like it's going very well. But that is just one thing that seems to be a little pressing, like is him not just opening up more about his emotional state and his day.
Yeah. So when you're talking about secure, so all relationships are based on attachment, which is like the same bond as you have between a parent and a child. So that's what it is. And you guys took this quiz, which is great. And your attachment strategy can be different with different people. I am incredibly secure with my husband. I'm secure with a lot of people. With my stepmother-in-law, zip. I'm like avoidant. I can be anxious with certain people. So
I never thought about that. I just thought of people as you were saying that who I think I'm avoidant with versus who I think I'm secure with.
Right. I have friends and they're like, let's make plans. And I'm like, I need a break. I need some time. So
Try to hold your microphone way up here.
Okay. I'll hold my microphone up here. Yeah. Okay. I'll hold it right here. Okay. So I just feel like I'm eating it.
Yeah. We actually usually pretend it's like,
my mic is always my mic because I kind of make out with it a little bit. My
Okay.
lips always touch it. So
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I'm like,
All right. I'll
Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Okay. So what you're saying, that's a pretty typical pattern of where you have more, we call that pursue, withdraw. And so what that is it's like his inner world is not as emotionally rich as yours is. And so he probably doesn't have the language to be able to talk in the way that you want him to. And so if he's willing to do that, that's a good thing.
What if he talks like that to other people though? Like I feel like maybe certain friends or certain family members, he's able to show that emotional side.
Have you asked him why?
It's so funny. I was telling Syd about this the other day.
Yeah.
Like whenever I have harder conversations, I always am in the shower.
Yeah.
So I don't have to look at them in the eyes. So they're like in the bath, like he was in the bathroom the other day and I'm like washing my hair. I'm like, so like you feel comfortable like sharing like your emotions with me and how you're feeling or if anything's bothering you about your day. Like I want to hear about it, And he was like, yeah, do you feel like I don't? I'm like, no, yeah, I just feel like I have to ask you, I want you to just tell me because I tell you so many things like all the time about random things. I don't want to talk about myself all the time. And he was like, yeah, I'll work on that. Like I can do that. And he's always very receptive. That's the thing. Like, but I still feel like I just have to push him for it. So I've mentioned it for sure.
Right. And I think as long as he's receptive, I think you're going to be good to go. It's just he probably might not have that inner world yet, the way that, and men are not taught to feel the way that women are.
Yeah.
And they have a harder time accessing their emotions.
So first step you would say is for sure talk to them about it.
Right, exactly. And
see how they respond.
Yeah, see how they respond. And if he's dismissive of you, that's one thing. But if he's like, no, I really want to work on that, I want to be able to do that, then you can ask him more questions about his internal world. I mean, usually it's like, my husband will come home and he'll be like the logistics. I did this. And I'll be like, well, how'd you feel about it?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
And that's me in a nutshell too.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, and then, he'll be like, well, this was upsetting or this was that or whatever. So that you can, if you can direct him there, he'll be able to do that.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to do that from now on. I like that.
Okay.
All right.
I like
Syd.
that. Okay. We had a kind of a mutual one that we were like kind of admitting to.
Oh, yeah.
And so this one is kind of mutual that we found ourselves just bothered by. But I've noticed lately at sometimes, especially when I'm feeling more insecure in my relationship, and I'm not insecure in it at all.
Yeah.
There's moments.
It's moments when you're like, I'm like, am I being too like assuming the good in him or like, you know what I mean? Like I notice myself kind of looking over his shoulder, just seeing what he's up to on his phone.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to, it's like, it's almost like,
He's never done anything to like break her trust.
Yeah,
but
no.
he's curious.
But I'm just like, oh, well, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking at his phone. Why am I doing that? You know what I mean? I catch myself doing it. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. Why did I do that?
Well, why? I mean, what's the big deal if you're looking over his phone?
Yeah. Like, no, true. And he'd never be like,
yeah. I mean, I think that it's just like, so what are you doing? I mean, I think it's just the way that you're checking it out. I don't think if your relationship is good, your phone should be open.
Oh yeah.
Your phone should be open, especially like if he's like, oh, I'm playing Wordle or whatever.
That's literally.
I like that point. I was
no,
like,
it's
note
good.
that down.
Everybody literally write that down because it's like, well, because in old relationships, I remember partners hiding their phone or like bringing it everywhere.
Well, so
with them
here's
or
the scoop about that. Whenever there's been an affair or a betrayal, if the partner comes into therapy and he's like, no, I want privacy, betrayal's on board. Then you know for sure they're doing something on their phone that they don't want you to do. So that's the first step, which we'll talk about affairs later. But I think if he doesn't care, you can look over his phone. But what I would say is, what you doing? Like, you're just reaching out to him.
Yeah, and it's not, and it's just when I get caught because I've been in cheating relationships and stuff like that. So it's almost like I can't help it. Yeah. But I'm like, I get like this little worry inside of me, and I'm like, oh God, like, what if, and then there's nothing ever there.
But actually, what's really great is that's how you're building trust for yourself. So keep doing it. I mean, and he knows that that's going on for you. So then that's a really great. That's a good way to build trust.
Oh, I like that.
Yes,
that.
and
he's never hurt by it. I mean, at one point he was like, I really hope that you can trust me by now, or we wouldn't be here. You know, and like, and he's so reason forward, and I'm so emotional forward. That's actually my little piece that I wanted to come to you with is that he doesn't like to. Well, first of all, he doesn't like to work on things in the moment. Like we've been dating. Today is our 2-year anniversary. Actually,
congratulations!
Yeah, thanks.
Oh,
yeah, it's our anniversary today.
That's great. Yeah,
little odd day to have our anniversary, but it is what it is. But we moved in together probably a year in or so. We were COVID relationship, so we got really close really fast.
I bet COVID relationship. I love that. Yeah,
and he is the opposite of me in majority of most ways. Like I mean, quiet. Very serious, doesn't talk too much at all, like is very much like I'm gonna say if I don't want to be here, like I don't want to be here, like I don't like this, I don't want to be here, I don't like doing this. But we're the same in a lot of ways of like extremely like oriented, a little bit OCD, like but in private we are the strongest, but we don't show it like that to everybody else because we just don't. It's just not how we are.
For sure.
When we're working on something, or like let's say we're having a conversation, in his mind, there's always a reason. Like, so if I say I'm feeling this, that, or the other thing, or I felt like you didn't really want to be there today, he's like, well, do you want me to pretend I don't want to be there? Like it's always a reason why, instead of understanding that, hey, I feel a certain way and I don't like how I feel right now. What were you going to say? You can say something.
I was just going to say, he wants to know why you feel the way you feel when you're like, I just feel the way I feel.
It's always a reason, or like that would make sense. It could go on a list of a piece of paper versus me. I just am such an emotional, intense individual. Like my empathy is probably 330%.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So like, and his is probably 25%.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a pain point of our relationship.
So
So he's a reason forward. I'm an emotional forward.
right. I've not heard it said as a reason forward and an emotional forward, but really I want to just say so I'm understanding what's going on. You'll tell him you're feeling a certain way and he asks you why.
He wants to understand.
He wants to understand, and it's really hard for you to say that. It's
I'll
really
be like, well, you seemed a little off, or like let's say it was because he didn't we went out to dinner and he didn't really seem like he liked to be there. And he's like, well, I just why do you feel that way? I don't want to pretend I don't feel good. And then I'm like, well, I don't know. It just made me feel sad. Like, that's just how I feel. And he's like, well, you don't need to feel sad about it. Everyone's allowed to have bad days, So he's reason for it because then he gets self-conscious of I made her feel sad.
right.
And he admits to that usually in 10 minutes. He'll be like, I just feel bad. I made you feel so sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at first it's like he gets angry with himself that he was a certain way and he wants to know how to fix it. He wants to
Right.
fix
He
it.
wants to fix it. And that's really, so, I mean, I think part of that is you probably don't need him to fix it. You just need him to be with you. And I think maybe you've said that to him, but it sounds like when he starts to go to feel bad, he kind of goes to shame a little bit. So really what you want to do is help him understand, you're losing him because that's the action tendency of shame, is to sort of hide or to go away. And so it's like he feels really bad. It would be better if he just led with, I feel really bad that I wasn't emotionally there for you. I had a hard time being there at the dinner or whatever it was that you're doing. So it's like to try to help him understand. So the emotions are driving what's going on, but he kind of gets reactive with his shame. And then what he does with his shame is he tries to pressure you. Why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
And I would say that's kind of a trap for you, because it's like he doesn't have to, there's not a reason. You just you're feeling badly. And what's the purpose in him asking the why? You might want to have him, what will that do for him to know the why?
Oh, yeah.
I would, if he was here, I'd say, so what are you trying to get at the why? Is he trying to argue it out, or is he trying to understand his behavior?
I know he absolutely despises arguing. So he's trying to understand his behavior, but it comes off like I'm doing something wrong.
Right, exactly. So that
I'm in the wrong for my feelings. And then I make the assumption that why am I not allowed to feel this way? Why are you not understanding that I feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
And it's few and far between, but it happens, and
right.
We're a lot better. Our relationship gets better with time, which is the reason why I'm still sitting in it.
Yeah.
And, but though that is a struggle because we're so different.
Right. But you know what? The different part, we choose our partners for the exact thing we need to learn. They have the exact problems that we're trying to solve for ourselves. So it's like you choose the partner who is missing it's the very thing you need to learn for yourself.
Oh,
I've
my word.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. And so that you get together for healing reasons. I mean, exactly the worst thing for you. And so you guys, compatibility doesn't mean anything. Couples that are super not compatible have really strong relationships. It's the way you solve problems is what makes or breaks a relationship.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow. It's so weird because now I'm thinking about it. I'm like,
so what do you think?
yeah.
So now,
do you have yours in your head?
no.
Okay.
But you do yours. Do
Well,
yours.
I say yes to way too many people. I do things that I don't want to do.
And look at him. He says no.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I know, and he's extreme. I told Jordan this
Probably
the other
why
day.
we're a good relationship too.
I
Because
know.
I say no.
And you are good, and we take it from each other. But he's the only person I've been with that's made me a better person.
Yeah.
I've not gone backwards whatsoever. I've gone 100% forward.
Oh, that's so
and
great.
then some.
Right. That's great.
And so, Oh, weird. Okay.
Okay.
I think mine is
Tingly.
Yeah.
So Pat is very relationship based with people. So family, friends, he really values I just more surface level with a lot of people. And I have a few, maybe couple people that I'm really deep with. I think he really values that. And I've been a little bit better at being genuine, checking up on people that I care about and things like that because of him. So I'm he's taught me that for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
That's
like
awesome.
that. Wow. I have never heard it like that. I'm totally mind blown.
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well,
we
thanks
got it for sure.
Wow. Thanks for helping me with my issues.
Wow.
Sorry
think
that
she
Jordan's
just-
not here. He's probably going to hear this and be like, what the hell,
She just
man?
solved the world.
No,
know.
I didn't solve the world.
No,
but
I
I mean,
know.
I think that it's the emotion drives the behavior. And so really he says he's thinking focused, but he's really emotion focused.
But it keeps it inside.
He keeps it inside, and then he says it's about thinking, but it's really the The emotion is driving the thinking.
Yeah, because he'll say a lot less than like anybody else. Like he's very like doesn't say as much. He holds people explain it as like he holds his cards really tight to his chest.
Yeah.
And people will be like, well, was he listening? And he can recite every word that you just said right there because he's thinking.
Yeah.
And but he doesn't feel the need to express as quickly as majority of people.
Yeah.
Which I think he's interesting. If you're with somebody that bores you, don't be with him. You know what I mean? Like Jordan interests me. He's like I'm like, oh, look at you. What is this? Like, what is that? Yeah. We had a ton of listeners write in a bunch of different things about their relationships, about things they're feeling. But one thing before we go into that, I want to bring up is this idea of sex drive, because we've heard it a million times. I thought for a while I had a low sex drive. I thought that was normal. I thought it ebbed and flowed. I thought I needed to eat more bananas or something to like make something go up, blah, blah, blah. But can you talk about sex drive?
Okay, so I'm going to answer sex drive in two different pieces. First of all, there is no such thing as a sex drive. The language was created by Freud, and he talked in terms of the Industrial Revolution. So he talked about drives and pressure and I can't even think of some of the ways, force and this sort of thing. And it's like, that was at the time when there was like machines and stuff like that. Assembly lines and stuff like that, the Industrial Revolution. What you have is sexual desire. So if you have low desire, that helps us know more what's going on. So we have what we call a dual control model in your brain. So we have accelerators and we have brakes. Right now, all of our brakes are on. We're talking about sex, which could be titillating.
I was gonna say, if I think about accelerating, I can accelerate 10 seconds.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I'm ready. No,
pedal to the metal, baby. Let's go.
But I think that then you have brakes. And what I would say is, why were your brakes on? What was going on? What was a turn off? What's a turn on? So you have this dual control model. So are there sexy contexts and non-sexy contexts? So that's really what it is. You do not have, the idea of a sex drive is a problem. And I think women, again, patriarchy, it's like men have, their sexual desire is spontaneous. Women have responsive desire. And the difference is spontaneous desire is like the guy in math class and all of a sudden, whoop,
boner.
It's so funny you say this.
He's aroused.
Because I remember in middle school, the boys in math class. One time this guy was like, Sophie, look. And I looked over and it was the first boner I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
In math. And it was in math.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So he has an erection. Okay. Then women, it's more like responsive desire. So if you think about this, it's Saturday afternoon, it's raining and it's cold outside, and your partner says, let's go to dinner. And you're like, I don't want to go to dinner. And then he's like, come on, we'll have a good time. And then once you go to dinner, you have a great time. And that's what responsive desire is. And that's more typically the female type of desire, is that we are more responsive. Men are more spontaneous. That's not to say that women don't have spontaneous desire, but ours is more the responsive type. So what I want to say is that, like, I think this whole idea of sex drive and spontaneous, like, I think that this is, again, the patriarchy telling women how our sexuality is.
That's because how we've been taught.
Like, and it makes you think that you have a low sex drive.
Or, I don't have any libido.
Yeah.
But I think there's also, when you're living in a world and there's lots of negative messaging around women and lots of objectification and things like that, it can affect women's sexual desire.
And just the way that you look at your own body, or you know what I mean, or the
confidence in your own skin.
Confidence in your own skin. Yeah, all those things can build up to have you be like, wow, I just.
Right. And you guys, 1 in 4 women has experienced sexual assault, sexual abuse. So I think that this is also a huge part of female desire. I don't know, cat calls, anything that it's just like unwanted sexual attention is assaulting. Wanted sexual attention is not. And so I think that it's no wonder that we have a population of women who are not who are feeling not great about their sexual desire.
Wow.
I even told Sophie this the other day, is like, I didn't used to wear skirts because I was too nervous and anxious about wearing like things that would bring attention to like my legs or my butt or like different things like that. I didn't want to. And I've also been assaulted and like different sexually assaulted and different things like that. And I just wanted to cover up. Like, I don't know.
Well, you know what? And I think that if you've been sexually assaulted, well, then no wonder why. And no wonder why your sexual desire is diminished, because it's like, am I safe in the world and things like that?
Yeah, it is about safety for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you recommend then for someone in Syd's position then? Like,
well, so Syd, did you go to therapy?
I did. I didn't like my therapist.
Okay. Well, so we need to help you find a really great therapist, and I can help you do that, because I think that the thing is for you to reclaim that desire. There's lots of stuff that that you can do around that.
And I would go. I'm very open to it.
Yeah.
The woman I talked to, I didn't.
It's just like, you really, and I would tell you guys, just as a therapist, if you don't feel it, leave. And I think for me as a therapist, I can tell I'm not connecting with this person. And so sometimes I'll be like, is this working for you? I mean,
you like hope they feel the same.
I know. And it's just like, I mean, I think it's about a fit. And so sometimes I am so busy now, I don't do that, but I used to do like a 15, 30-minute consultation and just say, this is how I'm going to work with you. This is what I'm going to be thinking about and stuff like that. So
interesting. Okay.
And then my other question about the sex drive is, what do you recommend for someone who wants to hit the accelerator a little more often, who feels like their brakes are on a lot of times, whether that be not related to sexual assault, but just because they feel like is there like tips to get more?
So you guys, so what I would say is, look at what's keeping the brakes on, because if you're sitting in a car and the brake is on and you press the accelerator, you're going nowhere. Mm-hmm. So what you need to do is find out what's keeping the brake on. And so that's what I would tell you to do, is to find out what's bothering you. So I would also recommend, there's a really great book by Emily Nagoski called Come As You Are. I've
heard of that.
Yes, it has a beautiful, it looks like a little vulva on the cover. It's a pink book. She also has, so you guys also get the second edition. She just came out in March with the second edition. I did a training with her. I love her. Yeah. And you guys, if you wanted to, we could tag her, because she's amazing.
Oh my gosh, yes. And write down second edition, will you?
Yeah, second edition. She also has a workbook.
Okay, amazing.
And so she's a sexual health educator. And what she said, I'll just do a little side note. The reason that she started doing all of this is because she did a class on sex. I think she was at Smith College. And all of the women were like, at the end of the class, she was looking at the evaluations, and it was like, I'm normal. I'm normal. I'm normal. And as women, we do not feel like we're normal. And so that's so huge. And so when I'm working with a couple, I mean, I think you guys are really good examples. One of you has been assaulted. You've got the brakes on. You have to find out what's making the brakes stay on. What doesn't feel right? And so there's a whole host of reasons. Is it betrayal? Is it that there's just something going on? I don't feel attracted to my partner. What's that? So you've got to figure that out.
I'm immediately thinking of even like having body dysmorphia issues, and that's putting your brakes on. And so instead of being like, okay, I'm just going to force myself to do this, it's like, maybe you got to go to therapy to learn how to love your body.
Exactly.
And then once that's solved, then the brakes kind of let up and you can hit that accelerator a little more often. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You guys,
Come As You Are, second edition. Emily, what's her last name?
Nagowski.
We should try to get her on the podcast.
Oh, you guys, she's incredibly busy. And she's in Boston. So,
well, never know.
Looks like we're going to Boston.
Yeah, I know. She's fabulous. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks for answering that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
listener advice questions. We're going to start with the first one. Someone wrote in and said, Mama's boy. We lack conversation about his emotions, yet he talks to his mom for hours. It seems like he seeks support from his parents over seeking that support with me.
Okay.
Yeah, mama's boy. Okay, so of course she's escalated, because whenever with our partner, when someone is more important than our partner, we're going to be escalated. What I would want to do with him is to find out, is he enmeshed with mom? And what is mom giving him? Is mom more validating than the girlfriend? Oh. Is mom, or is he trying to seek approval from mom? Like, there's a whole host. I mean, I can't give you one answer because we don't know enough, but it's like, what is it he's getting from mom that he's not getting from the girlfriend?
Oh, interesting. So maybe, it could be validation. Could be
validation,
or it could be judgment, maybe,
or approval, or something. But it sounds like mom and son are enmeshed. And so
are what?
Enmeshed, where they're like, it's too close. Like mom needs to let go.
Yeah.
And let him have his relationship with his partner.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's just not.
How would you go about that though? What would you have the woman or the man do?
Well, what I would do is I'd say to the woman who was the person who wrote in, ask him, what is it that you're getting from mom that I'm not giving you? What's going on with that? Are you looking for validation? And maybe mom is sort of overbearing is what I've seen, and telling him what to do. And maybe he doesn't have confidence. Maybe he's anxious. I mean, I think there's a whole host of things that could be going on.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting. That's
very
helpful.
interesting. Yeah,
Hope that helps.
definitely.
Okay.
Okay, this one says, my boyfriend cheated of 5 years, my boyfriend cheated. They've been dating 5 years and he cheated on me 2 years ago and I still have zero trust.
Okay.
How can I overcome my trust issues?
So that's a really typical one. And I love affairs. I love working with affairs. So what I would say is she doesn't have to overcome her trust issues. He has to earn the trust. And if she's still not comfortable, I would bet he's not doing things that are making her feel safe. And so what I would want to know is, and we call this clearing the courtyard, is his phone open? Are his passwords open? What is he doing? Is he holding her feelings? Has he expressed shame about what he did by cheating on her? It's not for her just to give. He needs to earn it. And if he's not earning it, then I would say to her, like, there's something going on. Whenever I see this kind of anxiety in the partner, then I know there's something going on. He's not doing that.
Wow. I was just going to say, like, immediately when I read questions like this, or when like Syd and I have saw this in the past, immediately I'm like, break up with them.
Yeah, because
like,
we do.
I'm like, that's like something that I wouldn't stand for. So like, what do you recommend for, let's say you're in a year relationship versus a marriage? Do you think your answer would change?
Well, I don't think my answer would change. I would say, can he? And how responsive is he? So we know that couples are escalated. There's this thing called the ARE, accessibility, responsiveness, and just being emotionally responsive. So, and so it's ARE. Is he accessible to her? Is he responsive? Is he emotionally present? Is he showing up to her? And so if he is, it's like, oh, honey, I feel really bad. Then I think there's that. But I would say, because she's still escalated, I can tell you, if you've got somebody who's really there, that partner is calm. But I can tell you, I can bet that he's not showing up for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say, if it's your person, there's a lot to learn. And even after a year relationship, I think you can work on that and bring him to therapy.
Next question is, I'm single and I have lost motivation to date, start over after my breakup. Tips. And I do think a male wrote that as well, if that changes anything, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I think that we have the same emotions,
yeah,
men and women. I think it sounds like there's depression. And so that's what I would say. That's my first instinct. And so I would say, like, what about that relationship just shattered you, that made you feel like you can't get out of bed? What happened? And so I think work on that depression. And there's not
first.
Yeah. To be able to get yourself back together. Like, what happened in the relationship? There's so much there that when I read that, I was like, oh, I wish I knew more.
Yeah.
Have you had that where people will come in and they'll be like, maybe the partner who's like a little more disconnected is still caught on an ex or something like that, or an old relationship, or being like, well, my ex did this, or have you seen that before?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, when they're in a new relationship, or even I worked with a guy, I still work with him, whose wife cheated on him, and it took him so long to finally date again. And I'm like, let's get on the apps. Let's try to get you dating. And he was like, he had a panic attack when he went on the apps, and he's like, I'm slow. I'm going to be a shut-in. And then he ended up, now he's in a really lovely relationship. So
that makes me happy.
Love.
Yeah, it just took him a long time to get over it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're like, get over it. Like, but
I mean, I think
it takes time, but you're like,
the way Syd said it, just get over it.
Just could you get over it?
Come to Syd therapy. Get over it.
Well,
get over it.
Get over it. Yeah, like, hurry up. Let's just get the job done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that is a beautiful story though. I'm like, oh, okay, let me read this one. It says, best time to combine finances or talk about finances. How do we pay bills if we move in together?
Okay, so that's a really complicated one. And here's another resource for couples that you guys can think about, and then I'll answer it in the other way. There's oh my goodness, I can't think of her name right now. She does a couples and money class here in Minnesota. She's been on NPR. Ruth Hayden is her name. Ruth Hayden is her name. And she does couples and money, and that you could take a class. And I don't know what she's doing since the pandemic, if it's all online or in person or whatever, but she talks about that. So that's a resource for you guys if you're interested.
Super fun, yeah.
Okay, but in terms of finances, I think that really it's a content area about how you discuss things. I've worked with couples that have done lots of different things where if they own a place together, you might want to have a joint account. I had one couple, I thought this was fascinating, where they had a dinner account, where they opened up a dinner account and they would just put part of their money in and they'd use that.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
I
or
really
like
do.
a fun account, like where they'd spend money and stuff like that. But I think if you could move in together and keep your finances separate and then just share everything, split it.
I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's mostly what's typical.
I wanted to hop in kind of like a follow-up question. So one thing, I haven't experienced this, but I could see this being a problem for me in the future, is I'm very like responsible with my money, very like I need to understand investing so that, because like in the future I plan on not having to struggle or anything like that. Yeah. And sometimes I'll be like talking to a girl and she kind of just like brings up that she's like really bad with money. And it's kind of one of those things where, especially in our generation, it's so overwhelming. Like, how do you, like, I've never had to experience it, but I could see it being something in the future where I'm like, hey, if we're doing
stop
our
spending money on clothes. That's why I get insecure. But this is why this is why I get insecure, because like I get all these packages and I'm like, he's paying half the rent. I'm like, you know, like awkward. I feel guilty about it.
Oh, I feel guilt all the time.
But I need,
So maybe on two sides, like how do you go about, as quote unquote, not like the guilty person, but the person who feels guilty. But then kind of my side is like, that's just a hard conversation to have in general.
Right. Well, I think what's really important is for you to be able to come forward and say finances are a big deal for you, and that if you're not good with finances, how are we going to talk about this? How are we going to talk about if you're overspending on money? How, like, just have a conversation we call coping ahead. Like if that's really important to you, you might not be able to date somebody who's not good with money.
But also, Ben, like, especially if you're just dating someone, she's going to have her own money. You're going to have your own money. You know what I mean? So let her spend it. Who cares? Like, who cares? She's bad with it. And then if you're in a marriage, obviously that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. And that's kind of part of it too, though, is like,
you're not going to marry somebody that you don't feel is.
Usually if I date someone, I date them to marry them. So like at some point that conversation, I don't know. I'm very like,
I see what you're saying.
You're like Jordan.
I don't want to go a year in and be like super involved. And then like, that's a major, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I think the point is that, again, it's about how you talk about it and how you solve your problems. And so you need somebody who's really going to hold how you feel as special and important. If this matters to my partner, it needs to matter to me. So that you need to find somebody who will hold that as something as sacred as you feel.
Oh, okay.
I love that.
I like
that was
that
so
though.
good.
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel like it's hard for me too. Jordan goes for the helping. So he'll be like, let's do your finances tonight. And I'm like, the last thing I want to do is cry about my small bank account tonight right before bed on a Sunday night. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm being sarcastic. I'm not going to cry. Yeah. But it's almost like, well, I bought like, I had to get the mirror for the garage, and mirrors are really freaking expensive. And I mean, I went backwards in my bank account and I was like, damn it. Yeah. And it's embarrassing because I'm down here in, little person land, and Jordan's over there living a totally different lifestyle because he worked for it, and he's 6 years older than I am. Yeah. So it's a very awkward situation. Plus when it's like, even, and I'll admit to this on the podcast because we're all about being real. Let's say we go to a really, really nice restaurant with a bunch of friends, and someone decides that we're all going to order, and we're all everyone.
Splitting it.
Yeah. And we're all going to
fucking
split
hate that shit.
And I'm over here getting the white wine, the house wine, please, if you could. If it's already been open for 6 days, I don't really care. Just give it to me. As long as it's half off.
And you got the least expensive thing on the menu, then everyone wants to.
I'm like, I'll get the table bread. I'll have a water with a lemon, and I will have 2 bites of your salad, that side salad, the house salad. Yeah. And everyone's like, let's just split the whole bit. Yeah, we're splitting it. And I'm just like, and Jordan knows, he would never put me in a situation like that, but it's like, how freaking awkward. Like, it's uncomfortable. And, or even when you go to a nice dinner with your significant other and it's a like anniversary dinner and you're like, are you gonna, I forgot my wallet. And like, you just had it open. You're like, he's like, no. And I'm like,
well, this is another
we can
thing.
Split it.
Yeah.
Shaky hand syndrome.
Right. Well, I think what you want to do is you want to say, my finances are this. Is it, I can't afford this tonight. Like, you want to talk about this, it's like you want to be able to have an adult conversation about it. And it's like, as you're saying that, like, and I don't mean to say that you're not an adult, but it's like, if you have shame around your bank account, it's like, talk to him about it and say, this is really what I can afford tonight.
Yeah. Just being open. Communication.
That's the other thing about like, when you're like, oh, well, you just split rent. But it's like, if someone's making 3 times your amount, like, I do think there is certain conversations that you have to be like, okay, well, if we want to live here, totally fine, but we need to take into account, like, we might have to sit down and talk about our income, because technically I think if someone's making 3 times the amount that you're making, I think they should pay more if they want to.
Well, and I think that's like, that is something that we talk about a lot with couples, is that you commensurate. If you are living with someone, you only make 1/3, then you should only pay 1/3. Yeah. Or there's there has to be some parity.
Yeah, completely.
Okay. Thanks for addressing that. That could be a whole episode about
it. Could be. Oh yeah. Okay. Wait. Okay. Next one.
Next one says, my girlfriend and I never fight. Is that a red flag? Sometimes it feels like she is careless in our relationship, disinterested in what's going on.
Right. Well, the first part of that question, I'm going to answer it in 2 different ways because there's more context around that. But it's like, if you don't fight, I don't think that that's a good idea. I mean, I think that some couples are more conflictual, but even high conflictual couples have, if they can repair, they report a lot of happiness. A lot of times, if there's not, we call that like a withdraw couple. If there's not a lot of fighting going on or discussion, they can be really distant, and that can be really a bad thing. You need to be engaged enough with your partner to be able to work through things. So that's one part. If you don't fight, I mean, sometimes couples will come in and they'll be like, we never fought, and now we're so distant. So I think that there is some engagement around that. And then she's careless. Tell me what
she says. Sometimes it feels, he says, sometimes it feels like she is careless in our relationship because they don't fight. Disinterested maybe in what's going on.
Right. And that I think is probably a bigger deal. Like, he probably can't engage her. And so maybe she's just sort of like, whatever. And it's like, he can't really get at what's going on inside for her. So
they're missing like an emotional piece. That's probably not, it's either there and it's a little bit subsided. What is it? Yeah, that's the right word. Sure. Yeah. Or whatever. Or maybe it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, I'm almost curious if the boyfriend would like try to like inflict like a crazy situation to try to get her to react, like leave his phone out with like a fake message from a girl and be like, is she going to fight about this? You know what I mean?
Well,
what's a good way to go about it to get a reaction?
Well, I think to tell her exactly that, honey, sometimes I feel like you're careless with my feelings. What's going on?
Yeah. Are you there? Do you care?
Do you care? I feel like you don't care about me. So yeah.
Man. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Last one.
Okay.
My boyfriend and I just don't see eye to eye on everything. How do you handle different views in religion and politics?
Yeah. Oof. I even had people, I don't want to get political, but when the whole Trump thing was going on, I had a couple come in and he voted for Trump and it was terrible in their marriage.
This is interesting. You can talk about that.
Okay. I think it was terrible in their marriage, but it was really more about other things. I mean, so again, you're going to have differences with your partner. It really matters how you resolve them. How do you talk about those differences? What does it mean that you're politically different? And how does that, like, if you think, what is the meaning that you're making of it?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you guys, do you feel like your partner's dismissive? Yeah. Pardon me.
Because you might end up finding that you're like, actually you see eye to eye a little bit more than you thought you did. You know, like a lot of times when it comes to, let's say you have let's say you have difference in religion or something, and you're both like, well, I believe in this. Well, I believe in this. And then you realize that, oh, you really just value like giving and you really value family. And then you're like, okay, we do believe in the same things.
Yeah.
I think that it's in my Trump couple, there was a lot of other things going on where she felt like he was sexist. And so it wasn't even really about the political things.
No, she probably just connected the two because that's like the pussy grabbing and all that
other kind of stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's, but again, it's a content area. And generally speaking, couples have a dynamic or a pattern or a cycle that they get in. And every couple has a negative dynamic. Oh. And so my husband and I have been married 36 years, have a negative cycle. We call it the volcanic explosion.
What happens? Wait, whoa.
So this is like, so what happens is, so this is, I mean, I'll be super transparent. So what happens is, he might get snippy with me. I mean, you could jump on anywhere. He'll get snippy with me and I'll be like, you're being mean. And then I walk away and then he chases me, or I hang up on him and he chases me. And I'm like, I've told him, if I hang up on you, just keep calling. But the other thing is, I will
keep reaching out, will you?
I know, we just keep reaching out. But so, and he always initiates the repair. I never do, which is probably really, I mean, I wonder if he'll listen to this. It's the truth. But I think every couple has a negative dynamic. He gets really upset if he doesn't think I'm listening to him because his injury came from a mom who never listened to him. Oh. And hopefully she won't listen to this. And then my injury, when I was growing up, my dad told me I was stupid and lots of name calling. And so like, if I perceive that he thinks that I'm not smart, then I get really hurt by that. So we can trigger each other in that way. That's an example.
Very relatable there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Very relatable.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think
you say injury, by the way, too. Yeah. That's what you call it. Like, how do you go about finding that? Like, that's kind of my like
your childhood trauma, like your little T trauma.
Your little T. Oh, look at you. You've been in therapy.
Oh, we
Whoa, little T trauma. Look at you.
I know.
I'm very impressed with you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
She fixes her hair.
Yeah.
I've been in therapy.
I think that is, I mean, you could do couples therapy with your partner to find out kind of, and that's really what it is like, how do you trigger that? How do you get stuck in that way? So a lot of times I often use this example, and I've told this example many times, but it's a really good one. My husband, one night we were lighting candles and it was one of those lighter things. And so you had to use the child lock to pull it. And I couldn't get it to work. And so I said, can you help me with this? And he's like, well, you pull this thing, you do this. But I'm like, I couldn't. And I could tell. And he thought I wasn't listening to him. And I thought he thought I was stupid. And we were like, I know. And I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so what I say to him is, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. And he's like, I don't think you're stupid. I mean, it's like, and so that's sort of how we can take care of each other. So that's
I just got goosebumps.
That's really cute.
Well, but I mean,
it is. You're not stupid. I'm listening.
But I think that with your partner, it's sort of like for you to be able to say, you don't know yet what it is. When you say he's quiet or when you say he's not there, you don't know what's going on for him. We know it's shame, but you got to find out what's going on. What gets touched in him? Doesn't he? I would bet, we should bet money on this. I bet he doesn't feel good enough. And so so he might not feel good enough. So what he needs, you would need to be able to say to him, you're good enough, honey. I just want more of you.
Maybe he says, I'm there. And you say, you're good enough.
We had a conversation last night. I said a negative and he said, will you please, if you're going to share a negative about our relationship, will you please also talk about the positive things, all the positive things that we had? Yeah. And I put 2 and 2 because he's alluded to like not feeling, feeling less than before, which is crazy because that's not how he perceives it.
And everyone has those feelings too.
Yeah. So. And I think I'm starting to understand him. And the best part was, this is my like follow-up question is, I asked him, I'm like, would you ever go to therapy? And he's like, well, do you think we need it? And I'm like, no, but I think that I would rather be proactive than reactive with therapy. Like just
And you
to
can go to
understand each other.
Syd, you know what you can do? You can do something called Hold Me Tight. It's a weekend. It's not therapy. It's just a little weekend, and you can go and you'll understand your dynamic. And you guys,
we should do this. Can we do like
you could
more
do
than one couples?
Yes, there's like 6 couples. You guys could do it, and so like my colleagues do it. Yeah, my colleagues do it. Yes, and you guys will understand your dynamic, and you'll understand. It's called Hold Me Tight, and I'll send you guys the link if you want.
Yeah, could you?
Yes.
Is it in Minnesota?
It's in Minnesota. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
And you can do that in person, and you guys will learn about your dynamics.
We're like, babe, it's so fun. We're going to a retreat, and then all of a sudden we're in a room, and we're like
rocking back and forth. Jordan's like, get away from me. What?
Oh, what was that?
Ben pressed a button.
I just stepped down and I accidentally.
Oh, okay.
No, but I don't think anybody did. But I was like, whoa. It was like the transition to therapy.
I literally just imagined like this room of like wood, and there's yoga mats, and you're sitting in like the pretzel position with your partner, the straddle hug, and you're like breathing, and you're like,
no, but actually it's a little bit more. He'll like this because it's a little bit more intellectual than this. It's like helping you understand. But the other thing is, you guys, when you're early in your relationship, it's different. We all have negative cycles. All couples have negative cycles. We also have positive cycles. But if you do this while you're young, you don't have to work at a 40-year cycle. So I really encourage you guys, go to therapy. Just do a few sessions. You're going to learn so much.
All I was going to say was find somebody that's open to it, because
Yeah.
Jordan was immediately like, yeah, if you think that would be positive, why not?
I mean, I think that it would be
so
great.
important to me.
You guys, I'll give you names of great people.
Okay.
And think about going to therapy for yourself. Sometimes you go before you even need. It's not like you need it. It's just, you're going to learn stuff about your past. You're going to learn stuff about yourself.
Right.
Side note: there's a Hold Me Tight in Hong Kong on July 12th.
Wow, we're gonna go.
Wait.
July
There's one in
26th.
St. Paul. There's one in Roseville. I think in August.
No, I think we better go to San Francisco.
I think we should go to.
Well, you guys, I can tell you who the instructors are. Who's in San
Okay.
Francisco? Is it
It
Sam?
says
Who is
a
it?
lot of names. Wait, where did
I'll get you.
Claudia.
I don't think I know.
I don't know, but we'll talk about it after. That way
can-
we can provide the info to people, and we can all go together and hug each other.
Yeah.
Y'all,
This was awesome.
so amazing.
I feel like I've learned so much, and also just tools on like an understanding, because I'm an understanding.
I also feel
type
like
of
we
person.
could talk for 3 hours.
I think we could.
We'll probably have to do it again. Is what I'm
You guys,
realizing.
I'd love to come back.
Amazing.
You guys are fun.
Where
you guys
can,
are fun.
where can people find you if they if they want to come in with their partner or whatever
Sure.
it is?
So the name of my clinic is Evolve Therapy. It's www. I said the extra W. there.
www.
No, I know it's
Hey.
evolvetherapymn.com. We are located at 394 and 169, right across from General Mills.
And your Instagram handle is Evolve Therapy, right?
Yeah, Instagram is Evolve Therapy. Our Twitter handle is Evolve Therapy. Facebook is Evolve Therapy, and I think it's Evolve Therapy MN.
Okay.
From Minnesota.
Perfect.
I have one more
and
question.
we're an emotionally focused therapy clinic, and it's the only kind of therapy that has research. All other couples therapy has failure. This has they can do studies 5 years later, and it sticks.
Wow.
So this is like you're in and you're out. Okay, go ahead. What's your
I was
question?
just going to say, if you have one piece of advice for our listeners, because you've been married for 36 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
What is the key to a long marriage?
Because you got all the tools.
Like what is one thing that you and your husband
Wow, that's
are great at?
that we're good at. I think we repair well. We repair well, and we talk in a vulnerable way, and that's like, okay, I came at you, and I'm sorry.
You admit to fault.
We admit to fault. I think that's something I would say my husband did a better job of that than I did when we first met, where he would come in and he'd say, okay, I messed up. And so that's what we've done.
He sounds like a really good guy.
He's a really good guy. He's a good guy. I'm
cute.
wondering if my kids are going to listen to this and they're going to be like, oh my God, Mom.
Wait, how many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids and they're about your age. I have a daughter. I think she's 28 or 29, and my son, I think he's 32. She's 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
I
they're
was
3
your
years
kid
apart.
and I listened to this, I would that's what I would want to hear my mom say about my dad, you know? That's nice.
Yeah.
It's
No,
special.
he's a very sweet man. My
Yeah.
husband's a very sweet man.
Well,
yeah.
it's beautiful. Thank you for bringing those things up too, because it's vulnerable to talk about your own personal relationship, especially being you're like, yeah, we have issues too. Even though I'm a therapist, you know what I mean? Like, I still have things that we work on.
We definitely work on stuff. We both been in therapy. We both have done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So thank you for being here. Hopefully you feel like you've given all the advice you could give within our 45-minute period, because it's very special. Seriously,
you guys are
and I appreciate
super
you.
fun, and I have to tell you, I listened to the blowjob episode or the
Oh
blowjob.
yeah, did you?
I was just like, that was hilarious. It just cracked me up.
My mom actually called me
Afterwards,
and she was like, yeah, like, tell me. She was like, I didn't know that. Actually, I forgot that happened. And she was just concerned. She was like, how many people saw that video?
and 6 million.
I was like, only like 7 million people, Mom. But then I go, just so you know, there was a lot of comments about how it was a good mother-daughter relationship because I felt comfortable going to my mom about it.
I think
and
that's
she was
great.
like, yeah, you know, that's true. So.
Yeah,
I think tell my dad.
I thought that was hilarious. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm getting myself into.
Episode 82.
Yeah.
83.
Yeah.
83.
You guys, thanks so much for having
82.
me.
First.
I'm like going backward and forward and backward and forward. I will say I had to tell my dad. I'm like, yeah, we went viral, Dad. And like, it's like making our numbers pop up. And he's like, for what? And I go, it was a video about blow. And I go, we're blowing off blow. You know what? I go, I'll show you it later. And he's like, oh, okay. And then
but
we're just like,
in reality, I was telling my mom, I was like, why is it so taboo to be like, this was my first sexual experience? I'm like, everyone has that, so like that's why we're candid.
We were just in public, so I was like saying blowjob extremely loud. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you in a second. Anyway,
all right, thanks for having me, you guys. You are so fun. You're so fun.
Thank you for being here, you guys. At Straight Candid Podcast, at Candid Syd,
at Candid Soph.
We love you. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to write your Apple Podcast review, and remember to check out the link in bio because we got all the goodies in there. Okay.
Good.
Okay. We'll talk to you later. Bye.